Welcome to Grandpa's Dougo's slideshow. This episode is about the Cave Clan in Sydney. Oh, golly gosh. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Grandpa Dougo's slideshow. It was September the 10th, 1989, when we first jumped on a Firefly coach and had a few drinks and drove up to Sydney looking for drains and putting up Cave Clan stickers. The goal for me was to put up stickers. We've made up stickers and put them everywhere, and these ones were made with like hand stamps and things like that. They were a lot of work, but we just put them everywhere we could. Unfortunately, we didn't know where there were many tunnels, so we're putting a lot of them in streets and things like that were getting ripped down quickly, or people that were seen and weren't interested. We then returned on June 9th, 1990. So whatever that is, about 9 months later, we put up a load more stickers. After that trip, we actually got a reply from a guy called Predator, which some of you may have heard. And he was really keen. He did a lot of stuff setting the Cave Clan up in Sydney. He was surprisingly keen because he was the first person we really spoke to interstate. And kind of like, oh my God, there's people in other states that are really into this. So anyway, we made another trip up May 19th, 1991. And this time we met Predator. And we went up with matte shades in green, which these black and white photos are of his. Predator went on his way, started gaining members. Quite a few that came and went. The first main ones that really stayed for a bit were Bear, Diode and Mullet, but there were heaps others. They were quite different to us, the Sydney Cave Clan. They were probably closer to cave explorers than urban explorers, or what we thought the urban explorers were going to be. But needless to say, they plodded along and formed the Sydney Cave Clan. In 1995, sadly, Mullet died in May. There was some period after that sort of a second wave of Sid Clan came through. I mean, Predator stayed a part of it, and as did Diode. I think Bear moved on, like heaps of the others moved on. Like Troxide, Mad Dog, Dirge, and a bunch of others, they all came along, and it just changed the whole feeling of Sydney Cave Clan. It was like, we could finally go up there and do stupid things that we'd want to do. The GTA Awards, and they started having parties, and Sydney Clan is so good. Like, have a look at these photos and tell me you don't want to go up and explore in Sydney, like all these like rafts and stuff like that. Eventually Predator passed away, and nowadays we need to keep Sid Clan going for the memory of people like Predator. He brought out a book which is very hard to get a hold of nowadays. You can probably get it online actually. If I can find a link, I'll stick it in the description. I don't know, a bit of that mullet picture is still there in Fortress, if you look at my Fortress video. But there's Bankstown Bunker. But anyway, the Cave Clan in Sydney grew and grew. It was a really fun part of the Cave Clan. They really did some cool exploring. Cape Don was a good location. A lot of fun on there. I think they've fixed it up a bit now, but I've got a feeling it's not moving far or anything. I think there's a fair chance it's going to sink. Sydney became a massive part of the Cave Clan. They're definitely the second biggest Cave Clan branch, possibly the biggest at certain times. I'm not sure now. I know, like Melbourne and Sydney, they both seem to have subsections now, splits. If you can get hold of the Sydney Cave Clan, definitely worth it. You'll see some cool places and meet some nice people. Oh, that's the old SWU. It's a great effort that they did when they put this banner off the Glebe Island silos. That was pretty cool. I think the silos were meant to get demolished, but I don't know if they did for a while. But their boat trips, I loved them. Like Sid Clan were pretty cool. They knew how to explore. They were cool explorers. Don't know if they were cool dudes. Just jokes, mate. Jokes. There's me helping Mirror across the pit at Eternity. This is a drain we found on Duck Creek or Duck River. I don't know, we never counted it. I think Sydney would have eventually counted it, but they're both in the same tunnel. Yeah, pretty cool. So many good drains, and their drains are a bit harder to get into, which some people like. That's a lift. That's when they got trapped in a lift and had to be rescued by one of their members because they overloaded the lift. So I think he might have got best
group effort, best individual effort. The guy who, and I think he ended up getting kicked out because I forget what his name was. Started with M, Metronome or something. There's a guard dog. It's probably the friendliest guard dog you'll ever meet. I'm not going to say anything about this photo because there's such a dark story behind it. I'm not going there. And of course, the drain that Predator found, Fortress, was an amazing drain. Look, I think I'll let the music take over. I would normally type in the locations and names and all that, but I've got a feeling Sid Clan probably would rather me not. They're a little bit more secretive, and I believe it or not, I don't want to piss them off. So, yeah, get a hold of Sid Clan. I've got a video. I might try and chuck the link at the end of it or something, but that helps you a bit. In the middle of sorting out all the redirects, a lot of them seem to be going nowhere. But yeah, get hold of Sid Clan. Well worth it. If you can become a member, it'll be a memorable time and you'll love it. Oh yeah, just before the music starts, I just want to thank Millsy, DB, Drain Bandit, and Lone Wolf. They're the only three that I asked if they'd like to submit some photos to add some quality to these. I should point out a lot of these photos aren't mine, and I'm happy to put in the description who took what. If you're really upset about your photo being used, I can blur it out. If you're upset about your face, I can easily blur out your face. I can do that pretty quickly too. But yeah, thanks to Millsy, Drain Bandit and Lone Wolf, because they didn't even hesitate. I was going to just keep asking people, but the three of them just said, yep, no worries, use my photos. I know that they can get some pressure from one or two people in Sid Clan. They'll probably not be happy about them letting me use their photos. So I really appreciate it, guys, and if I can ever return the favour, don't hesitate to ask. I'll do anything that I can to help you guys out, and your photos definitely make this video worth watching, and keep watching it. I've saved the best to last there towards the end. If you're wondering the order that I put them in, is that like my favourite first and whatever, I generally put everyone's stuff in alphabetical order. This one is just done in the order that they submitted them. So Millsy was first, then DB, then Lone Wolf. That's how I decided to post them. But my favourite is obviously